Imagine being the most powerful ruler in Europe, leading thousands of soldiers, surviving wars for over 40 years.
And then losing your life to a river.
Not in a huge battle, not fighting a famous enemy, just water.
This is the true story of Frederick Barbarossa, a king so strong that other rulers feared him, and how one unexpected accident changed the future of an entire war. And by the end of this story, you'll understand how one single moment in a river reshaped history. Let's travel back almost 900 years. Frederick Barbarossa was the Holy Roman Emperor. That sounds complicated, but think of it like this. He was one of the most powerful kings in Europe. He ruled over large lands that today are part of Germany and Italy. Many smaller rulers answered to him. When he spoke, armies moved. He was called Barbarossa, which means red beard in Italian, because he had a large, bright red beard that made him easy to recognize. In a time when kings wore crowns and armor, that beard became part of his legend. But Barbarossa wasn't just known for how he looked. He had a big dream. He wanted to make his empire strong and united, like rebuilding a giant castle that had started to crack. During his time, many cities and local rulers argued with each other. Some didn't want to obey him. Some wanted their own power. Barbarossa did not like disobedience. When cities in northern Italy rebelled, he marched his army south. One powerful city called Milan refused to follow him. So in 1162, he attacked and destroyed it. The city was torn down. Buildings were ruined. It was his way of sending a clear message. If you challenge the emperor, there will be serious consequences. But controlling cities was only part of his challenge. There was someone even more powerful he had to deal with, the Pope. Back then, the Pope was not only a religious leader, but also a political one. The Pope believed he had the authority to guide kings. Barbarossa believed that as emperor, his power came directly from God, not from the Pope. So they clashed. For years, they argued and fought for control. At one point, Barbarossa even supported a different pope to challenge the official one. Imagine two people both claiming to be the leader of the same team. Europe became divided over who to follow. Eventually, after losing an important battle in Italy in 1176, Barbarossa realized he needed peace. In 1177, he made an agreement with the Pope. It didn't mean he was weak. It meant he understood that sometimes you have to step back to protect your bigger goals. And then something huge happened. In 1187, a powerful Muslim leader named Saladin captured Jerusalem. Jerusalem was a very important and holy city for Christians. When news spread across Europe, people were shocked and upset. Leaders felt they had to respond. So they called for a new crusade, a giant military mission to try to take Jerusalem back. This would later be known as the Third Crusade. Three of the most powerful kings in Europe answered the call: Richard the Lionheart of England, King Philip of France, and Frederick Barbarossa. Here's what makes this incredible. Barbarossa was nearly 70 years old. At that time in history, most people did not live that long. Life was hard, and many died young. But instead of staying home, instead of sending someone else to lead, Barbarossa chose to go himself. He gathered a massive army, possibly around 12,000 to 15,000 soldiers, maybe even more. Unlike the other kings who traveled by ship, Barbarossa decided to march overland. That meant traveling thousands of miles across mountains, rivers, and enemy territory.
It was a risky decision,
But it showed his courage. His army moved through the Byzantine Empire and into lands controlled by the Seljuk Turks. Along the way, they fought battles and won important victories. In 1190, they captured a city called Iconium after defeating enemy forces. His soldiers believed in him. They saw him as strong, wise, and unstoppable. Even Saladin, the leader who had captured Jerusalem, likely understood how dangerous Barbarossa was. A large, organized army led by such an experienced emperor could change everything. For months, things were going well. The army reached a river in what is now modern-day Turkey. It was called the Salaf River, known today as the Göksu River. The weather was hot. The journey had been long and exhausting. The soldiers needed to cross the river to continue. No one thought this would be the most important moment of the entire campaign. We are not completely sure exactly how it happened. Some stories say Barbarossa tried to cross the river on horseback and was thrown off when the current became too strong. Others say he removed his armor and stepped into the water to cool down and was suddenly swept away. But what we do know is simple. He drowned. The emperor who had survived decades of war, gone in a river. When the news spread through the army, everything changed. In medieval times, armies were deeply loyal to their leader. The king was not just a commander, he was the heart of the army. His presence gave soldiers confidence and purpose. Without Barbarossa, many soldiers lost hope. Some were frightened. Some believed the mission was cursed. Thousands turned back and went home. Others continued, but the powerful united force he had built began to fall apart. By the time parts of the German army reached the Holy Land, they were much smaller and weaker. Richard the Lionheart would go on to fight bravely and win battles against Saladin. But even with his victories, Jerusalem was never retaken during the Third Crusade. Many historians believe that if Barbarossa had survived and kept leading his large army, the outcome might have been different. We can't know for sure, but his death clearly weakened the crusade at a critical moment. One accident changed the balance of power. But something interesting happened after his death. In Germany, stories began to grow. People didn't want to believe such a powerful emperor could simply disappear. Legends said he wasn't truly dead. They claimed he was sleeping inside a mountain called Kiffhauser. According to the story, he sat at a stone table and his red beard had grown so long that it wrapped around it. One day, they believed, he would wake up and return when the country needed him most. That legend lasted for centuries. It shows how deeply people respected him. Even though he drowned in a river, his image as a strong and determined ruler survived. And that might be the biggest lesson of all. Frederick Barbarossa controlled cities, led armies, and stood up to popes. He survived battles that could have killed him many times. He shaped the politics of Europe for decades. Yet, in the end, he was still human. History often feels like it's shaped by giant battles and powerful speeches, but sometimes it turns on quiet, unexpected moments. A strong current, a slippery riverbank, a single mistake. Frederick Barbarossa's life reminds us that even the most powerful leaders cannot control everything. Strength, experience, and courage matter, but so does chance. One moment in a river changed the course of the Third Crusade and left a legend that people still remember today. If this story surprised you, you'll love learning about the other kings who fought in the Crusades and the incredible choices they made. Stick around for the next story, and if you enjoy exploring history in a way that actually makes sense, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what happened next.